All right, this should be the 9.2 video. Here is your power chart that you're going to need. So have that handy, and we're going to try to do most of this without a calculator. So talk about rational exponents. Rational, what does that word mean? What does it mean when you see this means fraction? So just a quick review, what does it mean when you have a fraction exponent? Like if I go 4 to the power 1/2, what does that mean? Well, we just talked about it, that 1/2, those are your roots. Anytime you have a fraction, it means it's going to be a root. It's going to make your number smaller. 4 will become a smaller number like 2. All right, well, what happens is you can write these in a lot of different ways. So let's just try something. How about if I take a number like whatever, x, and I square it and do a third root. Okay, so we're going to do two things now. You got a square and you got a third root. So what you would do is you do powers of powers. This is multiplication. So in multiplication, you can switch the order. So this is one way to write it. This would be another way to write it. You could go 1/3 squared. That's the same. Or you could do the multiplication and get x to the 2/3. That's the same. Or we know that the number on top is the power and the number on bottom is the root. So you could call it this. If you want to go back to radical form, you could have x squared and have a cube root. That's the same. Or if you wanted to switch the order, you could go the cube root of x and square it. These are all 5 different ways of doing the exact same thing. Long story short, all you need to know is the number that is on top is the power and the number on bottom is the root. So let's go down here and give one a try. This right here, this 3 is going to be your power, which makes the thing bigger. The 7 is going to be the root. Now, if we're going to do this all on your power card, I recommend doing the root first, because the root will make numbers smaller, and smaller numbers are easy to deal with. So if I go on here, this says the 7th root of 128. If I wanted to rewrite it, I could write it as this: 128, have a 1/7 root, and then after that, 1/7 root, and then cube it when I'm done. So on your paper, let's try it. 7th root of 128, we're going to go the 7th root of 128 is 2. And then we're going to power it for 3, so my final answer is going to be 8, because 2 cubed is 8. If you want a quick way to do it, you can go the 7th root of 128 is 2, and 2 cubed is 8. You can do it all right on your paper. Let's try it again. This right here, it says this is your root, and this is your power. So let's try, this says cube root 64, and then square it. That's what it says. So we'll go the cube root of 64 is 4, and 4 squared is 16. Kind of handy. All right, pause it, see if you can do the rest. All right, we have the cube root of 1,000 is 10, and 10 to the 5th is 100,000. Over here, we have the 5th root. The 5th root, okay, when you have a fraction, just do the problem on top, then do the problem on bottom. Think of it like 2 different problems. 5th root of 3,125 is 5, and 5 squared is 25. So the top number is 25. The bottom, the 5th root of 32. The 5th root of 32 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. So we're just going to leave it like that. So just think of it as 2 different math problems. Same thing over here. We're going to say the square root of 25. The square root of 25 is 5, and 5 to the 5th is 3,125. The square root of 49. The square root of 49 is 7, and 7 to the 5th is 16,807. So you got your fraction. All right, let's not talk too much about domain and range. We'll just muddy the waters. So skip that over. All right, last topic then is a negative exponent. What does it mean when you have a negative exponent? Like if I see 2 to the negative 2, what does that mean? Is that a root? What is it? Well, the best way to understand it is with a table. So we'll, right in the middle, we'll put 2 power 0, 2 power 1, 2 power 2, 2 power 3, 2 power 4, and 2 power 5. And then we'll start to fill out the table and see if we can understand what it means. So 2 to the 0 is 1, 2 to 1 is 2, 2 squared is 4, 8, 16, 32. So if we're looking at these numbers, you can see what's the pattern as I go left to right. We're double, 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 double. Easy enough. So what would be the pattern in reverse? Instead of times 2, times 2, times 2, the pattern is divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. So when I get here, it's not a negative number, divide by 2. You get 1/2. Divide by 2, which would be a 4th. Divide by 2, which is an 8th. And then a 16th. So the first thing we have to notice, it does not make your number negative when we go this direction. Because if I follow the pattern here, this is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. This would be 2 to the negative 1, 2 to the negative 2, 2 to the negative 3, and 2 to the negative 4. So if powering going left to right is repeated multiplication, times, 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 what's negative power going the other way? It's going to be repeated division. That's what it is. It is repeated division. So if I say 2 to the negative 2, that means divide by 2 2 times. That's what it means. So if you notice a little pattern here, guys, look at power 1, negative 1. Hey, it's the same number, just with a flip. If you have power 2 and power negative, hey, look, same number. Power 3, negative 3, you're getting the exact same numbers. They're just flipped, right? So that's a pattern that we can use for some shortcuts. So let's try a few, and then we'll call it good. So first of all, the rules are this. What we're going to do is we're going to move all negative exponents. That's the first thing we do, and we'll talk about that in a second. Then we're going to combine, and then we're going to cancel. Those are the three things that we have to do. Move all the negative exponents, combine, and cancel. All right, so let's talk about what this means here. If I have 3 to the negative 1, if I want to think about it logically, this means divide by 3 one time. So it would be 1/3 for an answer. If you want a little set of rules that we can use, is we can say, all right, let's call it 3 over 1. And anytime you have a negative exponent, we're going to move it. So it says move all negative exponents. What I mean by that is move it from top to bottom or the other way around. Okay, so this 3 goes to the bottom. So I'm going to take 3 to the 1 and put it on bottom. And then once you move it, it's not negative anymore. All right, so what about a negative 1/2? Well, the 1/2 means square root, and the negative, we're going to say, means move from top to bottom. So those are two things that you have to do. So first, let's square root it. Square root of 36 is 6, and then move it means we're going to move it to the denominator, so you get 1/6. All right, how about this one? There's 3 things going on here. You might see this is just one number. It's not. It's actually 3 numbers. The top one is your root, makes it bigger. The bottom one, how about I actually write the right word, is the power, makes it bigger. The bottom number is the root, makes it smaller, and the negative is your mover or your flipper. Okay? So you can apply those in any order you want. You pick the easiest one. So the first one we have is a 4th root. The 4th root of 2,401 is going to be 7. So after we do the root, we have 7. Next, let's do the power. It says we did the 4th root and got 7. Now the power is 3. So 7 to the 3rd is 343. And then this little negative thing right here, what it says is to move it. So it's 343 over 1. We're going to move it for 1 over 343. You're going to move it from top to bottom. So you got a root, a power, and a move. Okay, when you have a fraction like this, you might be over 1, but it's not different. We're going to root the top and bottom. Do it to both. So let's do a 5th root. The 5th root of 1,024 is 4. The 5th root of 7776 is 6. So I have 4, 6. The next thing, if you want to simplify, you can. The next thing we're going to do is a power 4. So I'm going to go 4 to the 4th. 4 to the 4th is 256. And we're going to go 6 to the 4th. 6 to the 4th is 1,296. And then what the negative does is it moves each number. The top moves to the bottom and the bottom moves to the top. So that's what your negative exponents are, movers. So we have 1296 over 256. If you want to simplify using a calculator, you can. All right, pause it and see if you can try the last one. All right, we have a 7th root of 128. 7th root of 128 is 2. We have a 7th root of 2187. That's going to be 3. 4th power, 2 to the 4th is 16. 3 to the 4th is 81. And then your last thing you have is a move, so you should have 81 over 16. And we'll just leave that for your answer. All right, solving. Solving means you have to figure out what x is going to be. You need to get x by itself. How do you get rid of a negative 2? Well, the way that we're always going to get rid of a power is with the reciprocal power, meaning if this one's negative, we're going to use negative. And then if this is 2 over 1, we're going to use 1 over 2. Now, why would we do that? Because powers of powers is multiplication. In multiplication, what would be negative 2 times negative half? Well, that would be 1, and x to the 1 is just x. So that makes your exponent go away. So a reciprocal power is always how we're going to solve. So I use a reciprocal power. You can't just do it to one side. You have to do it to the other. So we're going to square root 81 is 9. And then the negative means to move it for 1/9. Okay, let's try it again. How do you get rid of a 3 over 2? You use the reciprocal power, which is 2 over 3. Right here, the cube root is going to be 4. The power is squared for 16. My answer is 16. There's no negative there, so I don't need to flip it. All right, let's try the next one. How do you get rid of a reciprocal power, or rid of a power? By using the reciprocal, negative 3 over 5. You can't just do it to one side. You have to do it to the other as well. So you have a 5th root of 32, which is 2. You have a power 3, which is 8. And you have a negative, which is a mover for 1/8. So you just do the root, the power, and the flip, or the move. You try the last two and we'll call it good. All right, we have here a negative 4/7 power, negative 4/7. So I'm going to take a 7th root. A 7th root of 2178 is going to be 3. A 7th root of 128 is going to be 2. 4th power is what's next. 3 to the 4th is 81. 2 to the 4th is 16. And then the last thing you have is a flip for your answer of 16 over 81. All right, put a little number in front. All you got to do, it doesn't change the problem, just divide. Divide by 4, divide by 4. So we have x to the negative 2/5 is going to be equal to 16. How do you get rid of a power? With a reciprocal power. So once again, root it for 4. Power it, 4 to the 5th is going to be 1024. And then flip it for 1 over 1024. All right, email me if you've got any questions.